All right, all right, all right. That half was something, boy. Welcome in to the A to Z Sports Big Orange Game Day Halftime Reaction Show. I'm Charlie Burris. I'm usually accompanied by former VOLS quarterback Jonathan Crompton, but today sitting in for Cromp because he had some personal stuff to handle today. Zach Reagan, another writer at another writer for A to Z Sports. He's joining me. He is usually my compatriot on the Big Orange podcast. And as for everybody asking, Cromp had something come up. He is handling personal business. It was kind of last minute, and we scrambled, got Zach to join us. I don't think that Cromp would say a whole lot different than we're going to say, other than, holy cow, that was an incredible half of football. What did you think of that, Zach?
Definitely not what I was expecting. I mean, they've already exceeded the total for my pregame score prediction, so definitely exceeded my expectations. Dream start for the Vols. Couldn't have went better. Defense gave up a couple of chunk plays to Mizzou, but I mean, they held their own, and we knew Mizzou had a bad run defense, and Tennessee is exploiting it to the fullest extent. I think Ty Evans has 123 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half.
I mean, everything went exactly right. I mean, there was just nothing about that. You scored on every single drive. I believe 7 of 7. One of those was a field goal. The other 6 were touchdowns. You can't get almost any more efficient than that. It's ridiculous. I believe Hendon Hooker was like 9 of 10 for 150 yards. There weren't any drops that I remember, unless it was a legitimate pass breakup by the defense. I mean, this was mistake free. I think one penalty, which was a holding penalty on that final drive for that entire half. I mean, good Lord. There was almost nothing about that half went incorrectly. Heupel came in with this game plan, executed it just nearly perfectly. I mean, there's not really another word for it. How can it go better than 45 points in the first half? It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting that deep pass to Javonte Payton to kick off the game, it really feels like the offense is kind of finding its groove. And I mean, Hendon Hooker's the guy, obviously. Joe Milton is QB2, and there's no reason to play anyone but Hooker for the rest of the way unless he gets hurt. I mean, he should have been the guy to start the year. I'm not sure what Heupel saw in Milton, maybe just the athletic ability. And you know, sometimes quarterbacks play better in practice, but Hooker's the guy. And it's pretty exciting to think about what Tennessee can do from here.
Absolutely. I like his tenacity. I guess that sounds like coach speak, but it really is. I love the way that he runs the football. He's kind of shifty. He's making moves. I mean, Missouri's tackling effort in that half was less than ideal, I guess you could say. Their defense is one of the worst defenses. It's probably the worst defense I've seen. And I mean, we watched well, I don't know. Tennessee wasn't this efficient against Tennessee Tech. I want to say the Tennessee Tech, the FCS team might have been worse, but realistically, I mean, good Lord, man, just total domination. And
you know what's crazy is Missouri's defensive coordinator is a former NFL head coach, Steve Wilkes, that coached the Cardinals for 1 year. That's kind of what makes this even more mind-blowing that their run defense is so bad in general. But, I mean, I was worried about Tennessee's offensive line today. Without Cooper Mays, they're thin. They run at such a quick tempo. You worried about the guys getting tired, but Tennessee's scoring so fast that they're actually getting to take a little bit of a break over there on the sidelines. I mean, that Ty Evans 92-yard touchdown run did wonders for Tennessee's offensive line to kind of catch their breath.
Yeah, just everything about this game is the epitome of what Heupel's system can be. And it's really nice to see because we've been saying it in weeks leading up to this, excuse my English, this ass whipping. We've been talking about it, but like what this team would look like with a great set of players, like a truly like SEC level set of players. And I think you're seeing an approximation of that, because Missouri is just unprepared fully. Like, they just were not ready for what Tennessee came into this game with. And I think you could see the complementary football. The defense was playing well enough, giving the offense a breather. Then the offense comes in, and even though it's quick, they give the defense enough time to reset. When you go, you have a whole full set of offense, and you go through a few different set of downs. You do give the defense enough time to kind of reset a little bit. And this, I don't know how you watch this and think like it could realistically be a whole lot better than this with Heupel's system. I mean, this is it. This is what it would look like at its height, I think. And I am impressed. I mean, I can't say it any other way.
Yeah, it's nice to see good quarterback play. I see this comment from Jason here. Hooker reminds him of Dobbs. I think it's very apparent that Hooker's definitely the best quarterback since Josh Dobbs that Tennessee's had. And I know it's only been a couple of games that he started, but we haven't really seen this type of efficiency from a Tennessee quarterback since Dobbs, really.
No, and it's just as I mentioned, his tenacity earlier, that will to fight even when a play breaks down is huge, and you keep the ball moving, you keep things churning. Like, just that extra element that he brings it's really exciting for one, but it's just so refreshing to see after all the years of, no offense to JG, man, but that was so painful to just watch him. He gets any kind of pressure and would just crumple like a cheap suit. And Hendon, he keeps his eyes up. He keeps everything looking around to make a play. And he's not really having to do a whole lot of that today. He's just making it look easy out there, but been nothing but impressed. And so if this is it, take this, get these great players, and I like the look of this. I'll say that much. But in the second half of this quick little halftime bit that we're doing here, we're going to talk about what kind of statement is Josh Heupel making by running up the score. He was fourth and 1 at the 5-yard line, a clear spot to sort of have a little mercy, kick a field goal, and he says no. We're going for another touchdown, and we're going to kind of talk about what exactly that means. But first, I'll tell you that this halftime broadcast with myself and Zach is brought to you by all the other content at A2ZSports.com. First and foremost amongst them, the best Tennessee podcast, I would say, in existence, if you ask me. I might be a tad biased, but the Big Orange podcast every Monday with myself, with Zach. For any new viewers here, I usually do this show with Jonathan Crompton, former Vol quarterback. He had some personal stuff to handle. Zach filling in, doing a great job so far. And we do a podcast that drops every Monday on the A2Z Sports Podcast Network feed. Go over there, subscribe if you want to listen to that. It'll just be basically an hour of this. So you're getting a preview. And then A2ZSports.com. Tons of coverage of the Vols, Titans, Predators, if you're into hockey. It's all there. A2ZSports.com. Go check it out. And then let's just cover this quickly before we run out of time for the second half, Zach. You kind of wanted to ask this question, and we'll see if we get any comments or what sort of feedback we get here. But do you think that Josh Heupel is trying to make a statement specifically to recruits by trying to be, I guess, as impressive, foot on the gas pedal, no mercy? Is that the sort of statement that he's trying to make in that half of football?
I mean, it kind of feels like it. The biggest question about Josh Heupel, or one of the biggest questions when he came to Tennessee, even though he had coached at Missouri, is will this offense work in the SEC? I mean, it's kind of I don't want to say a gimmicky offense, but it's not a traditional offense. You're kind of reacting to what the defense gives you. You're trying to kind of guess what the defense gives you, what you're going to run. They don't have a big playbook. And I think he's out to prove that, hey, this can work in the SEC. It kind of worked against Florida last week. They did a lot better than we thought they were going to, even though they didn't score but 14 points. But it kind of feels like the statement he's trying to make. I mean, I hope he goes for 70 today. It's within reach. The way he kind of played there at the end of the second quarter, I mean, why take your foot off the gas, make a statement, and maybe it can help in recruiting.
You found this stat. Tennessee What exactly was it? Tennessee has only scored 70 points in a game once in the modern
Yeah.
era. Was that?
They've scored like 100 and some points back in like 1910, but since the 1950s, they've scored 70 points once against Louisiana Monroe in 2000, a 70-3 win. So that would be kind of cool to see Heupel break that record and do it in an SEC game on the road, nonetheless. I mean, any road win is huge, but blowing Missouri out, a team that they beat LSU last year. They seem like offense has been moving in the right direction under Drinkwitz, but Tennessee comes in and do that. That'd be a heck of a statement.
So I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but in this spot, a lot of the times we ask, what is your confidence level that Tennessee will win this football game? Well, Tennessee's up by 35 points. I think there's a pretty decent chance that Tennessee's going to win this football game because Missouri would basically have to come out and score on every single drive. And even then, their defense is so bad, you probably still won't win. So let's ask it this way, based on what we're talking about here. Everybody watching, we got it looks like almost 150 people watching right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. What is your confidence level that Tennessee will drop a 70 burger on Mizzou? We got to work with what we're given, and so will Heupel? I think really this is a question about what is Heupel's mentality. Does he absolutely go for broke and say, "Stop me, just stop me," and then I'm not going to score 70 on you? Or does he take the Saban route and kind of lay off in the second half? So just 1 to 10. Do you think that they'll go for 70? Because obviously, if they're on pace for 90. 70 is mercy.
Yeah, and really, I think it's realistic here, just because Tennessee's doing most of their damage in the running game. I mean, they have 275 rushing yards. It's not like they're going to have to air it out to get to 70 points. I mean, they're just doing it by running the ball. And even Lynette Whitehead has 76 rushing yards. We haven't seen a ton of him, and it seems like most of the commenters here feel pretty confident too. Cole with an 8 here, OJ with an 8. Billy not quite as confident with a 4. Maybe he thinks that they're going to kind of take their foot off the gas here and slow it down.
Jeffrey says 10. Dom says 7. Appreciate all the responses. So a lot.
Here's a good comment here from Chris. If they bring Milton in the second half, that could slow the offense down. And I think that's a legitimate thing there, where you don't want Hooker to get hurt. He's clearly your guy. If you're up by 50 in the second half, why trot him out there and risk him getting hurt?
And I do think that was going to be something I was going to say. I do think Heupel's already showed he's not trying to run his guys into the ground. He basically took Jabari Small and Tyon Evans out of the game, and saying, Lynette Whitehead, you're more than good enough right now. You just go out there and handle it, and we can save our prime guys. He probably, I think you come out, score another touchdown, and then you're looking to take Hooker out of the game. Probably, 52-10. You get the ball to open the half. Sorry, Mizzou, man. This is a rough one for them. It's just one of those days. I don't know what to say.
I will say,
coming, but
the points obviously are the big positive here from the first half. But Zach Tilley here had a great comment. This is what I think fans should be most excited about. One penalty, you kind of touched on it earlier. That's been one of Tennessee's biggest Achilles heels so far this year, and they're showing. Josh Heupel's talked a lot about cutting those penalties down, and they're working at it, and you're seeing improvement. I think that's really encouraging.
It is incredibly encouraging. And you do kind of have to say Missouri is not exactly the most intimidating place to play football in the SEC, and the place you could hear a pin drop in there.
Very quiet right now.
Oh, man. I think literally the announcers at one point during that game, they were like, I don't normally hear SEC stadiums this quiet. And, it was pretty brutal. But either way, they were having a lot of those penalties playing at home. And especially that Pittsburgh game, you take away those penalties, that's a totally different football game. And so we already said it. Like, this is the prime version of what Heupel can put out there. No penalties, unbelievable efficiency, incredibly quick offense, because you scored all of those points in like 9 minutes of game time. Like
Yeah,
it just
at one point, Missouri had run 35 plays, and Tennessee had only run 14 plays, and they were up by 3 scores. I mean, that's efficient.
It's crazy. What crazy half football. But we'll wrap this up and say we'll be back for post game. Tune in, myself, Zach Reagan, and any thoughts before the second half of football, Zach, before we go.
Evan, if you want to hear more of that maniacal laugh from Charlie, just listen to the podcast every week because there's plenty of great laughs from Charlie.
And usually at my own jokes because I'm a D-bag. No. This should be a fun half football. This is exciting. I'm having fun watching Tennessee football, guys. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. We'll be back in post game. Thanks so much to everybody for watching. We'll see y'all in a bit.